Open it up for questions. First of all, I'm really more concerned about how we perform in some fundamental things as opposed to strategy and schematics. I think it's important that we handle pre-snap football at an acceptable level on both sides. Cleanliness in terms of penalties, fluid shifts and motions offensively, adjustments and communications appropriately on defense, things of that nature. We can't be a group that's highly penalized. Want to set a nice high floor in terms of some of those things. We want to put our conditioning on display and continue to develop it. Really excited about fundamental things, blocking and tackling and ball searching and ball security, things that have been kind of the foundation of the beginnings of our development in this setting. I want to see people make routine plays routinely. Oftentimes we spend a lot of time or energy focused on the spectacular. There's a baseline expectation, particularly first time out, and I'll be excited about watching guys make routine plays routinely. In terms of player availability, I have about 7 guys that I'm scheduled not to utilize in this game. Isaac in the offensive line, Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith along the defensive front. We'll get those guys ready to play. Those guys are veteran guys. They know what they're doing. I don't have any intentions of playing them in this game. But equally as important, it's just going to provide additional opportunity for others that I know less about and maybe need more runway from a preparation standpoint. And so we're going to, go with that group in terms of watching. There's been some guys that have dealt with minor training camp injuries and things of that nature that's limited them some. They won't participate as well. Talking about some established guys, Russ Wilson, Minka, Patrick Queen. Those 7 guys I don't have any intentions of utilizing in the game. Everybody else, man, I'm going to have a inclusive mentality about. Some of the guys are dealing with minor training camp injuries and so forth that limit them in some way. I'm going to leave the light on for everyone else. I'm hopeful that everyone else will have an opportunity to participate. But obviously we've got some football between now and then. We got a padded practice later on this morning that could alter that. And so those 7 guys I'm scheduled not to play. I got an inclusive mentality about all others and really excited about it. We've infused some developmental components in our work this week, play clock, et cetera. We're really focused on some 2-minute segments for game readiness, not necessarily with the quote-unquote ones, because those guys won't be in the game at the end of the half or the end of the game, but the 2s and 3s, their readiness relative to situational football and specifically 2-minute has our attention as we prepare today. And again, I think that's a mindset that needs to be reflected as well. These days are precious. We got a lot of work in front of us today. We're still very much Steelers versus Steelers today. As I mentioned, schematics and strategy is less important to us, and so we won't even begin to address Houston and what they might do and some of the things that we might be teeing up regarding them until tomorrow. We got another good Steelers versus Steelers day in an effort to continue to sort the 90, allow them to develop skills relative to their positions and show their capabilities. And so that process has been fun. Got some evaluation things to do, but obviously things aren't weighted the same. The in-stadium opportunity that's waiting on us Friday is a big one, and so we're excited about that. With that, I'll pause and open it up for questions.
Mike, do you have any plan for how long you might use Justin Fields, and what have you liked about him that you've seen?
I'm probably going to give that quote-unquote first unit and him included in that a couple of series. And what was the second part of your question?
What's he done that you liked that you've seen here?
I think he just comes to compete every day. He's got an awesome competitive spirit. We got a competitive environment, and it seems like he's enjoying it. He's doing a really good job of acclimating himself to it and his teammates and letting his talent show.
Mike, yesterday, if I read you correctly, you had said that Justin's footwork had improved.
Yeah.
Expound on that process, if I'm right.
Yeah, he just had a focus on his footwork in the pocket, body balance, posture in which he throws from. It's been a point of emphasis for him. going into the offseason, and I've just seen the fruit of that labor or the attention that he's given it.
Mike, what is the Queen dealing with? And does Minka have something, or are you just resting?
Just minor day-to-day things, man. And again, sometimes if they're less than ideal because they're established players and they need less runway to be ready for the season, then I just simply, minimize them and provide opportunities for others.
At what point do you become concerned about the lack of reps for Russ in the first-team offense?
I'm not.
Mike, is there any plan eventually to get Frazier some looks with the ones? Does he have to kind of demand those?
Those opportunities are coming not only for him but for everyone. A lot of it, the speed in which it occurs, depends on how you perform against those that you are competing against. You guys seen Troy has gotten some opportunities because he's handled some of his other opportunities, and Zach's done a nice job, and I'm sure some one opportunities are coming his way.
Did Troy get any reps at guard yesterday?
Did not.
Coach,
Mike,
go ahead.
Mike Beanie obviously listed as a starter in the nickel or in the slot. So there's been with Cam not in there, that's been an opening. But what has he done to kind of earn that opportunity?
But you said it. Like Cam's not in there. G. Arnold has missed some time with a soft tissue injury, and so I wouldn't overanalyze his positioning in terms of the depth chart. But to Beanie's credit, he has done some nice things in this camp and throughout the developmental process dating back to the spring. He's a game young man, and I'm excited about seeing him in stadium, particularly some of the things that come along with that position on first and second down football, blitzing, and so forth. I'm excited to see him in some real action there.
When it comes to the preseason, like last year's first unit, the offense looked incredible. The season rolls around, doesn't kind of follow through. For us, I guess curbing the enthusiasm, just say you guys go out there Friday night and just lights out. What do you take from that? How do you kind of, I guess, squash the hype?
I don't have a desire to. I don't have a need to. I don't worry about the hype, to be honest with you. The preseason is the preseason. The regular season is the regular season. Those of us that have been in this thing for a while know that there's a difference. It's football-like, but it's not necessarily football if you're talking about it from a regular season perspective. But it is significant in terms of our development and guys sorting themselves out. And relative to the work we're doing here, it's a significant step. And so we're excited about it from that perspective.
Mike, did you watch the Hall of Fame game to see how they handled the kickoff? And is that something maybe you watch other games just to get a feel for how it's going to work? Or what?
I think all of us globally are absorbing as much of that as we can for information. We've been all speculating for an extended period of time about some of the nuances of the play, how it might unfold, and things of that nature. And I just think Hall of Fame games and others are going to provide evidence. And so I'd imagine everyone is looking at some of those things really closely.
To the question about the preseason translating to the regular season, what in the preseason is indicative of the regular season? What are some things that you can kind of predict or see trend-wise that would carry over to the regular season?
I don't know that I've spent a lot of time thinking about that. It's just a component of the process. I would imagine, as you push through the preseason, it gets more regular season-like. But again, there's an intensity and urgency in regular season that doesn't exist in the preseason. And obviously those that are participating, we're 90 right now trying to get to 53. And in the regular season, we are 53. And so just the quality of execution, the experience of some of the players is just at a different level.
With the openings you have wide receiver, how have you seen that playing out so far in the first few weeks?
I just like the way that group has worked. Getting to know particularly some of the new veteran guys in that group. Can't say enough about Van Jefferson and Scotty Miller, for example, guys that have shown really high floors in this process, man. They're really consistent in their performance, and they bring it every day, and that's kind of indicative of veteran players. Been pleased with the growth and the work coming from that group.
Actively looking to add to that part of your depth chart? Or?
I'll let you guys speculate on that.
Do you want to see Broderick work at both tackle spots in this first preseason game?
He has been, and so it's reasonable to expect that to continue, yes.
Sticking with the O-line, who do you want to start instead of Isaac with him sitting out?
We haven't even really discussed that yet. I'm just committed to not playing Isaac. As I mentioned today, we still have a Steelers versus Steelers practice scheduled this morning. And so as we get into this afternoon, as we get off the field, we'll really start to detail how we divide the labor up and specifically how much people are going to play and when.
Along those lines, what have you seen or liked about Mason McCormick so far?
I like the fact that he doesn't shrink from competition. You got to acknowledge just a significant step up from FCS ball to the NFL. But he's not shrinking in the face of that. He's showing a strong belief in self. And I just think that that's a good platform in which to grow from. Belief in self, running to competition. And so he's gotten better in a hurry, and I'm going to be excited about watching that continue.
How do you weigh the fact that Frazier is a rookie, but also at the same time Herbig is kind of learning to specify a new position at center himself?
Herbig's got experience at the position. I wouldn't say that it's new to him. He's done it in the NFL. He's got starter experience at the position on other teams in the NFL, and so I don't know how I would describe him as inexperienced in it.
Growth of the receivers. How would you assess the growth of the offense so far and what you've seen during camp here?
You know, I like some things. I think we've done some nice things on a lot of fronts. Running the ball, play action pass, stretching the field vertically in the play action passing game. But it's ebb and flow. It is in development. There's been some days that I'd like to see us take care of the ball better. We've turned the ball over some. But those things happen in an environment like this. And so I've been generally pleased with the trajectory of it, acknowledging that there's 2 steps forwards, 1 step back from time to time. But I think that can be indicative of all of us or any of us individually in this process.
Installing a new offense, how instructive can it be to face somebody else's defense who's trying to pick it apart for the first time and get a look at ways maybe they might try to attack it?
You know, I really think just right now is focus on self and less about the strategic component of others, whether it's the defense or the Houston Texans, which we face right now. When you really lay a foundation, a platform in which to build from through the rest of this process, it's man versus self and how we perform and what we do and the quality in which we do it.
Justin Fields said that this was the hardest training camp he's ever been a part of. Other guys who've been here before said they feel like the intensity is different, more ramped up this year. How do you kind of assess the intensity in those things through this camp?
Good. We're here to develop. You can't box without sparring is the analogy that I use. And we play an intense game, competitive game. And I'm not doing these guys justice if I don't create an environment that is reflective of what's waiting on us.
Compared to your first camp here?
Man, that was a different time. That was medieval times. But it's relative in that, you think about it, man, it might be Cam Hayward and Russell Wilson are the only guys in this camp that's ever been in a 2-a-day at any point in their life. Several years back, man, at various levels of football, man, 2-a-days got eliminated. And so back when I first started, 2-a-days were commonplace. Matter of fact, every day. And so there's things culturally that has changed in the game that these guys don't even have a frame of reference regarding. And so it doesn't enter my mind as I compare what we're doing now to my past experience. It's really irrelevant. These guys don't know what a 2-a-day is.
What do you think has led to the increased intensity this year that the guys are mentioning?
I don't know that I've thought about comparing it to things in the past. I like the intensity. I don't necessarily describe it as increased intensity.
Same lines of medieval ball. The Joey Porter, George Pickens back and forth we see this camp, is it analogous to the A.B. Ike Taylor matchup of years past?
I think those matchups always occur in a setting like this. The familiarity associated with Steelers versus Steelers, meaning 1s-on-1s, 2s-on-2s. You get high-intensity matchups. I've liked the Freiermuth D. Elliott matchup, for example, has been on display here. And so, there's a lot of those. And it is reflective of things in the past because I'm not looking for the feel-good. I don't go ones versus twos, twos versus ones. I want to sharpen iron on iron. And so it gets intimate at times.
You've had a couple of first-round pick tackles. What has Dan Moore done to kind of hang on to that position?
He's done a really nice job. He's come in shape and prepared. He's professional and highly competitive daily.
Season games, how important, like, for these guys trying to make the 53, the guys on the bubble, how important, I guess, can you see something within those 3 games? And has there been a guy that went lights out in the preseason and got on the 53?
Every year. You know, there's a component of in-stadium play that you can't anticipate. Somebody always surprises you in a positive way. Somebody always surprises you in a negative way. And that's just a component of it. I'm always open-minded and excited about seeing who they are under those circumstances. And I'm, quite frankly, never surprised when someone runs their way onto this football team with their efforts in preseason.
Talking about slightly old-fashioned things, you've used a lot more of the fullback position than you have in previous camps. What led it to taking a greater look at using more of that position?
It's probably just reflective of Arthur's approach to ball and the fact that we have a new play caller and coordinator of offense.
How much is this an audition for Justin to push for that starting job, or can you not really do that with a couple series?
I think everything is an audition. Everything that we do is an audition, not only for him but for others.
Would you still categorize this as a quarterback competition? If it is, how do you weight what happens on the practice field here versus what happens in a stadium?
Very much is a competition. What happens in stadium is weighted heavier than what happens in a practice setting because it's more game-like.
Do you still view Russell as having that pole position and being ahead of Justin in that?
You guys saw the depth chart that I released yesterday. That is real.
Do you know if anybody's going to wear the Guardian cap in game now that that's allowed?
I have no idea.
Anyone else? With Peyton Wilson, it looks like he'll get a chance to play more. What have you seen from him, and how important is this game?
Really like his athleticism. It's on display. You feel it. You see it. Also like his level of conditioning. I thought he's coming to this thing prepared, and that's allowed him to absorb additional snaps. Days like when I minimized Patrick Queen has been really good opportunities for him to get work and elevated work. And so it's been a good process for him.
Anyone? All right.
Thanks, guys.